After another week of hiatus, we're back for another week of college. Jake here, Team Money here with you. We've got would you call it a stacked week?
Oh, I mean, to be fair, like I said, really haven't had a massive chance to look at the full docket, but from what I've seen, yeah, there's some really heavy hitters this week.
Oh, yeah. And we're going to get started here with a game that's actually tonight. It's a conference game that I wanted to bring up cuz how do I put this? It's a potential trap game for the home side, and that is going to be the Oklahoma State Cowboys as they travel to BYU as they look to also continue their season undefeated. The line for this game, it started out at 8.5. It moved to 9, and it hasn't moved, I don't think, since then. I don't know when they moved that. Looking at the past couple of games, Oklahoma State just needs to figure out. It just needs to get right game here. They started their season 3-0 with a win over an SEC team, and then the instant that they started Big 12 play, it's kind of like how Iowa State's did their season 2 seasons ago. Started 3-0, you're looking pretty, or not 3 seasons ago, 2 seasons ago. Started the season 3-0, looking pretty, and then all of a sudden you hit conference play, and then you just fall flat on your face. BYU, on the other hand, has done literally the exact opposite. Or not the exact opposite, but you get my point. They started 3-0, and then they're now 3-0 in conference play, 6-0 on the season. Jake, what do you think in this game?
Well, I mean, like I say, as you've stated before, it's BYU's looked really good. I mean, like really good, like potentially mess around and make the playoffs good.
Oh yeah,
Especially with not only that, I guess quote unquote shocking win, but domination of K State, who, again, a lot of people considered one of the favorites in the Big 12, not just you. So it's just, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things where, granted, they were at home, and I know BYU is usually really good at home. Oklahoma State, if they don't win tonight, oof, because
Mike
you're going to be
Gundy's
0.
on the hot seat.
Yeah, 0-4 in conference. 3-2 record isn't necessarily bad, but it's the 0-4 in conference. And the way the Big 12 is looking this year, if you keep slipping, well, you might not even make a bowl game, let alone make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But with that said, though, BYU being the 9-point favorite, them being at home, I'm going to give the edge to BYU.
I'm gonna be in agreement here. I I think the era of Mike Gundy in BYU is coming to an end, and I think it will come to an end after this season. Did I say Mike Gundy in BYU?
Mike Gundy in Oklahoma State.
Thank you. I think I said BYU, but y'all know what I meant. Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State's era might come to an end. And to be quite honest, it's starting to sound like that needs to happen sooner rather than later.
Oh yeah, it's been kind of a toxic mess over there for the better part of the last like 2 seasons.
I believe so. Don't quote me on that.
I don't know. It just feels like it's now, at the very least, this season's definitely starting to spiral out of control. And I know that Gundy's had issues in the past and stuff like that. In fact, he's been there for what, 20 years, 15 years, something like
He's
that.
been there. He's been there since I started following Iowa State. So, like
That tells
full
you.
on following Iowa State, not just like my family just threw on Iowa State stuff while the game was going on. I mean, like this is when I remembered starting to watch Iowa State football.
So yeah, and it's very rare in today's day and age to have a coach that seems like lasts more than 5 years, let alone closer to 20 or 25. So, with that said, though, yeah, BYU. Just because BYU is looking like a potential problem this year.
Just wait till they play Iowa State. Anyway.
We'll see. We'll see.
I'm sorry. I'm going based off of the game from last year, and BYU was not good last year. They looked different than last year. I just wanted to throw the friendly shot out there. No offense, BYU fans. It's all in fun and games. It's all in fun and games. All right. How about we do Fox Big Noon? Nebraska, Indiana, in Indiana, and Indiana is a 6.5-point favorite. Yay. This one's going to be a tricky one. Wow, even the matchup predictor has 75.7% Indiana. Holy shit.
Again, there's just something about Indiana this year that we have not seen from them in several years, really.
Granted, there was I told this to you when we were off camera before we started filming. I watched a podcast today where they were looking over the spreads for Iowa and Iowa State for the remainder of the year. Indiana got brought into said conversation. I don't know if it was before that or I don't know if it was just after that. But the guy that covers Iowa said that Indiana hasn't played anyone good yet. I mean, Western Illinois, UCLA, Charlotte, Maryland, Northwestern.
Well, still, they're beating them. But here's the thing, though, Trev. It's kind of like, if we go over to the NFL side of things, the entire NFC North being the record they are. Yeah, sure, Chicago and Detroit and those guys played more teams that are lower in the respective conferences. But the thing is, you can only play who you play. And it's not so much who you play, but how you play them. And Indiana so far is playing the teams the way they're supposed to if you're going to be a contender by, case in point against Charlotte, 52-14. Maryland, 42-28. Northwestern, 41-24. They're blowing out the teams they're supposed to blow out if you're a contending team.
Yeah.
So with that said, though, at the very least, Indiana has momentum. But Nebraska, coming off of that loss to Illinois, which was an absolute... By the way, I watched that game. That was probably one of the games of the year in the Big Ten, in my opinion. Just from a Nebraska or Illinois fan here. That was just a great game where they just got at the end.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like I say, with it being in Bloomington, with it being in Indiana coming off of their wins and domination, Nebraska, I'm still not 100% sure on. Because this game is, again, interesting because Nebraska can pull an upset or what would be considered, quote-unquote, an upset.
I don't know about that. I don't know what their record is versus top 25 opponents in recent history.
To be fair, I don't even know.
In the last 5 years.
Outside of, I think, Illinois, and I don't even know if Illinois was ranked when they played them.
Don't think they were. I think they are now, but don't quote me on that.
Anyway, regardless, I think I'm going to take Indiana, but slightly. I'm just going to make it as a normal pick here.
That's not a bad guess. I'm really tossed here because is it safe to say this is Indiana's first true test in this conference?
Oh yeah, 100%.
I was going to say, or is Nebraska just fucking with us and they're going to just shit the bed the rest of the season?
Oh no, Nebraska, they looked really good at the beginning of the year. A lot of people were saying this could be one of the best Nebraska teams they've had in years. Like years and years. But to be fair though, Nebraska can also be that team like an Iowa, like an Iowa State, like certain teams where it's like, or Indiana, Northwestern, where they look really good, but then they can play a tough opponent and either get punched in the face or show that they're actually real here. So, in my opinion, this is Indiana's first true test against a very good Nebraska team. We can't argue the fact that Nebraska is actually a pretty good team.
As an Iowan, I shouldn't be able to say that. but
Oh, same.
unfortunately,
But you know,
as a college football fan, I have to say that. But with this game being a road game for Nebraska, and I believe this is Nebraska's first true road test this season, I don't think they can step up to the plate here. I'm gonna go with the Hoosiers. And yes, it's
but
also because I hate Nebraska.
true. But also, like I say, though, I could very easily have this flopped if they're in, Nebraska versus in
If
Indiana.
if they're at the other Memorial Stadium, there's too many fucking names, too many stadiums called Memorial Stadium. Like, can we
Plus,
actually get legit fucking names for these goddamn stadiums? Like, come the fuck on. I just realized I missed a game. And it's a game that we have to do. And I said I was going to do.
we can cover it at the end, Trev. Nothing else.
Yep. Okay. We're looking here. What's the next game that I have up here? It is. Aha! I went down a little bit here. Where'd it go? I went down to Georgia and I was looking for a soda steal. He was in a bind. He was way behind. I was willing to make a deal. There you are. All right. How about we head out to. Oh, dear God. How about we head out to Memorial Stadium? Wait, didn't I just mention that? Yeah, but except this time we're going to the one in Champaign. Champaign, Illinois. Michigan and Illinois. This one's going to be fun. This one's going to be fun. Line for this one opened at 1 for Michigan. It is now a 3.5 point favorite for the Road Warriors in Michigan here. Actually, I can't even call them the Road Warriors because they went into Washington and got their ass kicked.
Yeah, well, there was a little bit of revenge on that one.
Yeah, but I'm also looking at this game as Illinois got something to fucking prove this year, and this is the team that you need to prove it with.
I mean, you pretty much took the words right out of my mouth here. I mean, like I say, this is probably again, kind of like what I said with Indiana, this is probably one of the best Illinois teams I've seen in, again, probably since that '07 team, going way back.
Oh,
So, like,
God,
when they upset Ohio State.
I don't even remember 2007.
Well, let's put it this way, Trev. They upset Ohio State in Ohio. And that was like one of the years where Ohio State was loaded. If I remember right. So, yeah.
God.
But like I say, though, I mean, Illinois is one of those teams where it seems like every several years they'll just have a season like this where it's like a miraculous run. And the difference with this year is this miraculous run could mess you can mess around and end up in the playoffs. So
12 teams now, yeah.
And granted, like I say, I mean, Illinois this year has already beaten a pretty, solid opponent. If I remember right, wasn't the Illinois-Nebraska game, was that in Illinois or was that in Nebraska?
Tis was in Nebraska.
So, which made that upset even more great. It's at home. It's going to be loud and proud. You know what, Trev? This is my upset of the week. Give me Illinois.
I want to. Okay, actually, I'm gonna. I'll let you pick that. Actually, I'll let you do that, and then you're gonna pick that as your upset. I was gonna try and sway you here. Maybe looking at the results here, because notice Illinois' last game last week.
True.
I watched the end of the first half of that game, and Illinois was absolutely dominating Purdue. And then what the hell happened in that second half? I don't even fucking know. Yeah, because they were up 17-3, and then Purdue just storms back in the last 2 quarters, scoring what? Am I counting that right? That what, 30 points or 40 points and one? No, 43. Yeah, no, yeah, scoring 40 points in. Why is my math not cooperating here? Why is my math not cooperating here?
17,
2,
23,
3.
that's 40. So 46 points.
That still don't make sense. 23.
Because 17 plus 23 is 40. Because 7 plus 23 would be 30. And then you add 6 on top of that.
So it's. But then what? So, what? Okay, whatever. Purdue storms back and almost wins back the Purdue Cannon, but unfortunately, the Purdue Cannon stays in Champaign. And then now we look ahead to Michigan, who is coming off not only a bye week, they're coming off a loss to Washington. Michigan's gonna have a fire under their ass. Illinois is looking to prove something. Which head prevails in this one? Usually, it's the one that their ass is on fire. However, Michigan gets eliminated from the college football playoff this weekend.
Ooh.
I'm calling it now. I am calling it now. Michigan will be eliminated from the college football playoff with a loss to Illinois. Because I mean, look at it. They've already have 2 losses on the season. One is to Washington, which is unranked. But then you look at the game against Texas. Yes, I know Texas is the number 1 team in the nation. But you lose to Texas in your own barn by more than 20 points. Or just under 20 points. 19 points. So yeah, you see what you're picking up what I'm putting down here? Actually, I think that's 17, but that's beside again.
Oh, and by the way, they should have lost to Minnesota too.
Again, yes, a terrible performance against Minnesota. And
you could argue they should have lost to Minnesota. Let me rephrase that.
Actually, in my eyes, they did, but in the ref's eyes, they didn't.
Yeah. Well, like I say, though, even if they did recover that onside, Minnesota did, it's still not a guarantee you would have won. But that would have made it a lot more of a chance.
Gus Johnson called that beautifully. And then he got pissed, and then he got really upset when it was called offside. I'm like, yeah, I would be too. All right, I think we're jumping back up into the noon slate here. We are. We're gonna jump back up. How about we take a trip to Louisville, Kentucky, as the number 6th ranked Miami Hurricanes are traveling to take on the Cardinals, who were the runner-ups, who was the runner-up in the ACC last season. 6-0 versus 4-2. 2-0 in conference, 2-1 in conference. So I don't know how that makes any damn sense.
Well, the schedule makes no sense anymore because some teams don't play their first conference opponent until like week 6. Others play them like within 2 weeks. But that's a different gripe for a different day.
Yeah, but then again, we also watch Iowa, State, UNI, Drake, South Dakota.
Yeah.
Which all the non-conferences games are in the first 3 or 4 weeks.
True. But like I say, each conference is different.
Except for next year, where Iowa State does get a pass on that because it is a neutral site game out in Dublin, Ireland.
True.
All right. Looking ahead to this game, though, because we're not that far into the future here. The Miami Hurricanes and the Louisville Cardinals. Miami opened up as a 4-point favorite. It is now a 5-point favorite for the road Canes. This one might be interesting.
Oh yeah.
Because looking at Miami's last couple of games, barely edging Virginia Tech. Barely, and I literally mean by barely, edging Cal on what was game day's first trip to Berkeley. And then you look at Louisville. Close loss to Notre Dame by a touchdown. A close loss to SMU by a touchdown. A close win over Virginia. And then a dominant win over Georgia Tech, all before the Notre Dame game. So Louisville, I see where your troubles are. But now you've got a top 10 team coming into your stadium where I know top 10 teams know how to go and die. At least I think so. Jake, who you got?
Honestly, like I say, I love Louisville, and they're definitely a feisty team, that's for sure. But man, I'll tell you what, if Miami can win this game, their confidence is going to be through the roof, more so than it probably already is, because in my opinion, if they beat Louisville, Miami is the best team in the ACC, and it's not even close. I mean, you can already say that they are. But it's just like, well, I mean, you're the number 6 team in the country for a reason. We'll just put it that way.
True.
But, yeah, and like I say, kind of going back to that Cal game, which is still weird that that's now a conference matchup. But anyway, especially considering they're basically on
that eventually.
Yeah, considering they're on extreme opposite sides of the country. And I mean extreme opposite sides of the country.
If I remember correctly, it was, 3,000 miles in between campuses?
Sounds about right. I would not be surprised. It's at least 25. But anyway, regardless. So that's never easy, especially because that game, I'm pretty sure, started at 7 o'clock Cal time, which is 10 o'clock Miami time. So, regardless, that's never an easy thing to do. That's why a lot of trap games happen when teams go across the country. Not even just in the, NCC or, college, but in pro, too. In hockey and whatever, it's just one of those things where you go from one side of the country to another. It's going to be tough. But they still got the job done at the end of the day. And now they're back in a little bit more of a favorable time zone. They're going up against a big rivalry matchup for all intents and purposes. This is going to be a fun game, but I still pick Miami. Just because, again, if they are for real, you win this type of game.
Do I do it? Do I do it? Based on the first half performance by Miami, actually, I should technically say based on the first 2.5 quarters of that game in California by Miami, because California had that fucking game all the way through. And then I don't know what the heck happened. It's like Cal just fell off. It's like Cal was on the wagon, and Miami just said, "Get off my wagon," and they just stopped moving the ball. Because of that, and also because of how close their win against Virginia Tech was, going into an environment where I think you've lost before as a top 10 team. Don't quote me on that.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Louisville is a tough team for anyone to play, really.
And that's why I am gonna take the Cardinals. I don't know
upset or not.
This might just can I do it as my upset? I could do it as my upset, but you can barely see it.
All right.
So gonna pick the Cardinals as a normal upset, as just a verbal upset, not my upset of the week.
Okay.
It's literally because of how Virginia Tech and Cal both played Virginia. Because I mean, look at these final scores right here. Just look at that. Look at that. 38-34, 39-38. If that trend continued for Miami minus a bye week, I think Louisville beats this team straight up outright. Or Louisville would beat Miami straight up. I worded that wrong. But
I get what you're saying. But yeah, like I say, this game will be a tight game. This game will be a close game. I mean,
yeah, it's gonna be. And I'm gonna stick with not Miami. I'm gonna stick with Louisville. I'm gonna regret this because I'm 5 games back. Oh God, I need to get upsets here. I need to get some games here. All right. Next game up. Let's switch over to the sheet while I pull it up real quick. That's gonna be. As Mario completes another level in any of his Mario games. We'll do UCLA. Oh, Wendy. Oh, hey, Wendy, what's up? GG to your Blackhawks last night. I was going to go and try and make a trip out there to catch the Sharks where they go out there, but unfortunately, last night is the only time that the Sharks are in the Windy City, and the only time that the Sharks go up to Minnesota is in freaking April. Dear God, I'm not looking. Oh, I hope we have somewhat of a good record when I go up there. I really do. It sucks that we have 3 teams we can travel to. 3 freaking teams, and my team only goes to one team twice. The other 2 goes to them once. Anyway, back to the regular scheduled programming. UCLA, Rutgers. Only reason I picked this game is because it was a 5-point spread. But I think we all know who we're picking in this game.
Yeah, I'm going to go Rutgers.
Poor UCLA, I swear, man.
Yeah, they have not looked good this year.
Feel bad for the members that allowed UCLA to play in their stadium. Because they're horrible this year.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they got absolutely curb stomped by Minnesota last week.
I wouldn't call it 21-17 a curb stomp, but they are on a straight up 5-game losing streak. But looking at the teams that they've played though, Indiana, LSU, Oregon, Penn State, Minnesota.
Yeah, that is kind of a meat grinder. I'm not even going to argue with you on that one. Maybe outside of Minnesota, but still. I mean, Indiana is ranked, 16 in the country? LSU, we know. Oregon, they're looking like a top 5 team in the country.
Oregon is a top 5 team. I think they're number 2.
Yeah. Penn State is a top 5 program, I'm pretty sure. Either that or top 10. I know they're in the top 10.
Number 3.
So, yeah. Obviously, it's not going to be easy. But with that said, I'm still going to go Rutgers just because this first year is going to be basically what I think a lot of the Pac-12 teams are finding out outside of, I'd say, like Oregon and maybe Washington, is the Big Ten is a lot different than the Pac-12 ever was.
Oh, it 100% is. It's also kind of like the ACC, where it looks completely different. Like, those damn suits had to freaking speak up and say, hey, let's do cross-country conferences. Technically, the only one that should technically make sense with that is the Big Ten and the Big 12. Because you got the SEC, the ACC, and the Pac-12. Literally, the fucking regions of the country are in their goddamn name. By the way, this is definitely not made for kids, so if you're watching this at school, please shut this off.
Yeah.
God damn.
But so with that said, though, give me Rutgers.
Yeah, give me Rutgers. How about we do a game that's at a really odd time? 11:45. South Carolina and Oklahoma. South Carolina coming off what should have been an upset. Let's 100% throw that out there.
Oh, yeah.
An almost upset over over Alabama. And then looking over at Oklahoma. Really? That's all you can muster up against the fucking Longhorns?
You mean the same team that you've literally played how many years in a row?
The number next to their name don't fucking matter. This is exactly like the Iowa State rivalry. The number next to the name does not fucking matter. For this reason, and that reason alone. Fuck the Sooners. Give me the Gamecocks.
And I'm going to go with the Sooners.
Oh.
Because they're at home after getting their tails kicked in by our longtime rival. Going back to heck, even back in the Big 8 days, probably, if we really want to bring it back.
Yeah. Okay, so actually, I should probably throw the spread out there for you really quick. This might sway your pick, actually. 100% it might. Spread opened up at 3.5 for Oklahoma. It's now 1 for South Carolina.
Ooh. I'm still going to go with Oklahoma because they're at home.
Damn.
After getting their tails absolutely clobbered in. But hey, I mean, if South Carolina wins here, I mean, South Carolina's looking, I wouldn't say good per se, but they have had a lot
They're
of close
decent.
losses. Yeah, they've had a lot of close losses.
I'll give him the decent label because, I mean, 36-33 loss to LSU. Their only bad game this year is Ole Miss, 27-3.
And Ole Miss was a top 5, top 6 team when they played them. So
Ole Miss is now 18th in the nation with a loss to Kentucky and a loss to with actually not just a loss to Kentucky, a freaking upset loss to Kentucky and a loss to LSU.
Yeah,
last week. Ole Miss, Oklahoma's got to play Ole Miss next week. Ole Miss is currently on a bye week. Wait. Did I say that right? Ole Miss has got to play Oklahoma next week. Ole Miss is on a bye week. Just making sure I said that right. I swear I am not in it today, guys. My God. All right. So yeah, we go. So you go Oklahoma. I go South Carolina. How about we? And now. Oh God. This one. Oh God, this one's gonna turn some heads here. What's your favorite mountain range?
I guess it depends. Well, I mean, I'm kind of a fan of the Rocky Mountains, if I'm being honest with you.
Good, because that's where we're going next. The Tennessee Volunteers play host to the Alabama Crimson Tide, which should not be favored in this game, in my personal damn opinion. A loss to Vanderbilt. A loss, it should have been, a loss to South Carolina. Granted, looking over at Tennessee.
And a game that should have been a lot more lopsided against Georgia, too. Remember, Georgia was down 28-0 at the end of the first quarter or so. And by halftime, it was like 28-3 or something like that. And then it took a miracle at the end to beat Georgia. So this Alabama team is definitely flawed. But anyway, go ahead.
So yeah, looking at their two non-conference opponents that are still on their last 5. They've been able to score a solid 42 points in both of those games. And then you get Georgia. Okay, you fall 1 point short of 42. Not terrible, but you give up 34. What do you do your next week? You let a team that shit talk you how many freaking years ago? Saying, we're going to show you how to play SEC ball, Alabama, you're next. Walk all over you. Like, literally. Like, yeah, you scored 35 points. Congratulations. Maybe in a modern day when Vanderbilt actually fucking sucks. Oh my God, I feel like I'm doing a skit from Tom Grossi when I'm talking like this. Maybe you actually dominate them again. First year Nick Saban's gone. Care to explain? First year.
I mean, you're taking words right out of my mouth, man. Like this, like I said, that's why I said this Bama team isn't the same Bama teams, but that's not necessarily to say they're a bad team. It's just the SEC this year in general has been a very interesting conference, just in general. I mean, right now Texas is by far the best team, and they weren't even in the SEC last year.
I really want to see Tennessee and Texas play each other.
Ooh, that would be interesting. But with that said, though, who are you rooting with, or who are you rolling with?
Did you watch my predictions a few years ago?
Probably not, if I'm being honest with you.
I rolled with the Vols. And that game was at night, so I had to work. Luckily, I took my 15. I took my last 15 right as this game was in overtime. I watched the Volunteers kick the game-winning field goal when I was on my break. And I'm gonna go with good old Rocky Top, Tennessee. Picking the Vols. Don't think too hard on this. The spread is 3 for Alabama. Let's just point that out.
Fair. But just do I... Oh, it's just how's Alabama gonna... You know what, I'm... At the very least, just to keep pace, I think I'm also gonna go with Rocky Top, Tennessee on this one. But I would not be surprised if Alabama does manage to pull off, I guess, what would be the favor. Even though it would be considered, I guess, kind of an upset. I don't know. I feel like, because like you say, last time this game was in Tennessee, there was that field goal kick, right?
It was. It was Nick Saban's second to last season.
So yeah. And with the way Alabama's looking, granted Tennessee has questions of their own as well.
I wouldn't really necessarily say they have questions. They just had one bad game against Arkansas.
Which a lot of people in the SEC would tell you might be an issue. But anyway, that's a different topic for a different day there. But yeah, I'm just going to go with Tennessee on this one.
Alrighty. How about we, as I pull this up real quick. Touchdown Jesus makes his triumphant return as they will travel to Atlanta, Georgia to take on the Yellow Jackets of Georgia Tech. This game's actually neutral site. This is being played at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Notre Dame is a 12.5-point favorite.
Ooh, yeah, but do I though? That's going to be the key because this does fall within our lock parameters. Barely, but it does.
Yeah. Go ahead
But the
and
thing is, every time I've picked,
stall for a second. I'm doing one thing real quick.
yeah. Well, as you know, Trev got to get some stuff taken care of here. Georgia Tech this year is by far having one of their best seasons they've had. Oh God, do I even want to know? Yeah, it's been a while that Georgia Tech has been this good. Granted, I don't know if they'll necessarily make like a big bowl game or anything like that, but this program is definitely moving in the right direction after years of just, well, domination, basically. Notre Dame has had a couple of losses, or like had one loss this year that was kind of head scratching in a way. But otherwise, Notre Dame has looked pretty good. And as it sits right now, Notre Dame, I'm pretty sure, would be in the playoffs, or very least close to the playoffs. But
Yeah,
yeah, and
I 100%
also,
agree with that.
but with that also being said, Notre Dame is one of those teams too that could very easily find a way to dribble down its own leg in games like this as well, because it's happened in the past. But they could also blow Georgia Tech out by 56. I mean, you just don't quite know with Notre Dame from week to week. With that said, though, I still think I am going to pick Notre Dame, and I am going to go ahead and set this as my lock.
Ooh, interesting. Give me just
Because,
one
like I say,
second. On this up.
the spread is high enough where I feel confident, but it still falls within the parameter that we set. Which, by the way, for all of you who are may be watching this for the first time, 15 or below is a lock. Anything above 15 we can't use as a lock because that's too much of a lock.
With an exception. So if your lock is below 15 at the time of filming,
Yep.
then it
Because spreads change literally almost daily from the time they get released to the time injury reports and the game kicks off. So
yeah.
it
I
has to
just
be
got
15 or below at time of record.
Yep. I just got one more thing I got to do really quick, and then I got to.
So the Notre Dame didn't pay a school to come to Notre Dame again to end up losing. Maybe.
There we go.
I know there
So,
was a team that, yeah, wasn't there like a massive upset this year where there was like a team that was paid like over $1 million to come play and they ended up pulling the upset?
it was Notre Dame, I
Oh, it
believe.
was Notre Dame. Okay.
Because it was NIU that did it.
Oh yeah, it was Northern Illinois. That's right. I remember that now.
Right. And you said Notre Dame as your
Lock.
lock. Okay.
Because I don't feel like there's going to be a spread high enough right now where I feel that comfortable in. But that could change too. So, but for now, this is my lock.
All right. And then for me, Georgia Tech's having a fantastic season. Let's not ignore that. Georgia Tech's having a fantastic season. Upset win to start the season over Florida State, which we all know now that was kind of bullshit. Because Florida State is
Really wasn't much of an upset at this point, but anyway, regardless, still a big win.
Yep. But then again, they also turn around and then they go and lose Syracuse. So kind of back and forth on that one. Then they go and beat VMI, lose to Louisville, beats Drake and North Carolina.
You mean
Drake, Duke, and North Carolina. Apologies. And Georgia Tech just looked good this year. Looking at Notre Dame, Notre Dame's now in the Boneyard in Northern Illinois. Hold on. Please tell me that didn't go over.
Nope, I didn't hear anything.
Okay, good. Bless me. Notre Dame, dominant, close, dominant.
Like I say, Louisville is a good team, though. So
Louisville is a good team. With that said, so the Notre Dame didn't. Well, I mean, some of the schools have to. Some of the schools won't just go and play a team without compensation.
Because, well, yeah, I mean, if you're gonna go, well, case in point, if like an FCS team, let's say like South Dakota goes to Alabama or something like that, you're probably gonna lose 70. You're probably gonna lose like 73-0 here, if we're being honest here. So at the very least, to make it worth your time, help give like these smaller schools a little bit more funding and stuff like that to basically get dominated or beat. Every once in a while, you'll have an Appalachian State versus Michigan, but those are few and far between.
Yeah.
So that's usually why teams do that. But anyway.
Yeah. I'm going to echo your statement here. All the way through the lock as well. I'm going to pick Notre Dame as my lock. Give me the Irish hat again. Because the last time I did that, I still need to upload that clip. God damn it. Anyway, let's go. Let's go down. I always fucking forget. I always get the two confused. Is this Tucson or Tempe?
I think Tucson is Arizona.
Tucson. Okay, I got to remember that. Yeah, let's head down to Tucson, Arizona, where the 3-3 Arizona Wildcats will welcome the Colorado Buffaloes, who can... I'm going to just say this now. No one hates me. If people hate me for saying this, I do not give a shit. Colorado did not get over in that game. They should have never have been that good against Kansas State. They shouldn't have. But Kansas State, I don't know if they're just bad. And then looking at Arizona, I don't know what's going on with you guys. 3-3 to start their 6 games into their season. 1-2 in conference play with their only win over Utah. Which we're now starting to look at Utah as that's an even worse loss than it is already, just by looking at it. I think that loss is the loss that knocked Utah out of the top 25. If I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
Yeah, because there's only 3 teams left in the Big 12 that are ranked.
That or was Arizona State. Anyway, it was one of those two.
It's Iowa State, BYU, Kansas State. Those are the only 3 left.
That's what I meant.
But anyway, we're looking at Arizona and Colorado. Arizona start out a 3-point favorite, is now at 2.5.
Look, as much as I hate to say it, Colorado does have some good players. Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter is looking like a potential face of a franchise in the NFL someday. He's looking that good. Shedeur, I still don't know 100% how I feel about Shedeur Sanders, but if he can get the right tutelage, who knows? He might be pretty good. He has talent, he has abilities that remind me a lot of like a Lamar Jackson or something with a bigger arm. It's basically the best way to kind of describe that, if they can hone that in. But really, outside of that, I really haven't watched enough Colorado to really be like, okay, these are the other key pieces and stuff like that, because Colorado can either lose to North Dakota State of the FCS or blow out Alabama by 50. There's like no in between with this team. It's just... And I get it, Colorado was a dumpster fire when Deion got there. Yeah, I still don't know if they're much better now than they were 2 years ago, but anyway, at the very least, they're now entertaining to watch, even if you don't like them. But Arizona's interesting, too, because What like? Can we go back down there? I want to see what their wins and losses are over the last couple of weeks here. Too again.
There are only 2 losses so far in the last 5 games, were Nebraska and Kansas State.
Alrighty, so like I say, Colorado's looking good there, and then Arizona coming off of a couple tough losses. It is in Arizona,
It is.
and I mean, I'm probably going to go with Colorado on this one, but I don't feel confident about it because Arizona's one of those teams too where they're very inconsistent as well. Like they'll go out there and give, like case in point, a Utah who was ranked at the time fits in Utah, and then get curb stomped by Kansas State, which granted
I
isn't a
wouldn't
bad
call that a
team by any
curb
means.
stomp. I really wouldn't call that a curb stomp. I just think Kansas State just outplayed them.
Or BYU. There we go. That's probably a better example there. Which
Yeah,
I guess it's about
Arizona got curb stomped by BYU. Colorado just got outmatched.
Yeah, but anyway, with that said, I'm gonna go with Colorado on this one. But like I say, this could be one of those that's like a 35-34 type of game.
I hate to agree with you, but I'm going to. I hate Colorado with a passion. Because I hate the fact that there are people that are not even fans of the college wearing Colorado stuff. Like, what the hell's the point? If you're not going to be a fan of the team, don't wear their merch. It's kind of like, hold on.
Yeah, basically. All right. I was about to take over there if you needed to.
No, you're good. I just needed to clear something out of my throat. It's kind of like, so so everyone knows who Ice Cube is, right? He always wears his Raiders hat, right? If you're gonna wear a fucking Raiders hat, be a fan of the team. I don't care if someone made the style famous. I don't care if anything. Don't wear a team's merch if you're not gonna be a fan of said team. If you don't like sports, don't buy a Raiders hat.
There we go. That's what my argument was going to be. If you're just doing it for clout, don't. But for me, case in point, I'm a jersey collector and I'll wear different jerseys, but I also like sports too. It's one of those things where it's different if you're just trying to be fashionable, quote unquote, and you have no idea what's going on. But it's another thing if you're actually like a true fan of a sport. But anyway, that's going to be it for my high horse. So
yeah, like just stop it. Get some help. Good old Michael. Oh God, I forgot his fucking name. Michael Jordan. Thank you. To the random person that said Jordan. I don't know who did, but thank you anyway. All right, next game up. We got. Ooh, that's a good one. That is a good one. No, it's a good one. I picked it. Sorry, that was 100% self-conceited. You've got the LSU Tigers taking on the Arkansas Razorbacks at Razorback Stadium in Fayetteville, Arkansas. 6 o'clock kickoff for this one. LSU opened up and is still currently a 2.5-point favorite. Looking at the last few games, Arkansas coming off a close loss, has the close loss to Oklahoma State, and they also have the 4-point loss to Texas A&M. Both are really good games. The only bad loss I see out of that is that Oklahoma State one because, well, look at them now. A&M doing pretty okay. LSU, only loss. Who the hell did they lose to?
I want to say it was Notre Dame.
No, USC.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Close loss, too. So
that was a week 0 game, I think. Or week 1.
I believe that was no,
that was the week 1 Sunday feature.
Yeah. All right, so their only loss coming to USC, which actually now that we're kind of looking at that one's also kind of a bad loss. Because USC, I don't think is good this year either. This I don't think they.
Anyway,
yeah, LSU, Arkansas. I'm gonna take this one first. Oh, this one's tough. I was really high on LSU. Me being a Saints fan, we don't talk about the goddamn Saints anymore on this goddamn channel because oh my fucking god, Dennis Allen needs to be gone. LSU is doing pretty decent this year. Might make a run for the national championship at the end. Sitting at 5-1. Give me the Bayou Bengals.
and I think I'm also going to go with LSU on this one too because, well, I mean, if you're, because again, LSU is again one of those things where if you're actually a true contender, you take down teams like Arkansas, even though this Arkansas team has had a couple of marquee wins, including Tennessee. So it's one of those where Arkansas is not a sleep-on team anymore. But if LSU loses to Arkansas, then I could see Arkansas being legit.
Oh shit, I didn't even realize I could just do this and have the freaking matchup in the middle. My pick on the left, your pick on the right. Why didn't I think about that? Like, why?
Better late than never.
Yeah. Because this is kind of interesting because, like, wait, hold on. Please tell me it's oh, damn, it's not. Oh, well. All right. So next game up, I already have it ready to go. Let's take a trip to the Tank Bowl. Oh, God, I didn't even realize both these teams were 500 record. The Kentucky Wildcats versus the Florida Gators. Another reason I'm really picking this game is because Kentucky with that close win over Georgia, but then, or that close loss to Georgia, dominant of Ohio, win over Ole Miss, and then Vanderbilt, Jurgen wins. Holy shit!
Yeah, what year is this?
No, actually, I was going to ask, is this freaking baseball or football? I can't tell the fucking difference. And then looking over at Florida, a dominant win over Samford, lost to A&M, win over Mississippi State, win over UCF, which actually shocked me because last time UCF and Florida played, UCF beat them. Before that matchup, I should say. And then the overtime loss to Tennessee. This game's going to be fun and interesting to pick. I am going to leave it to you first.
Well, I mean, honestly, this low-key could be a fun watch if you are fans of either of these teams or whatnot. So, is it Kentucky that is the favorite then? By 1.5, it looks like?
It is. It opened at Florida at 1.5. It has swayed the entire other direction, and Kentucky is now a 1.5 road favorite. Interesting.
That's spicy. That is intriguing. I mean, I'm not really going to think too much about this as much as, I'd like to pick these guys. There's one team that makes me even more confused than Kentucky. It's Florida. So with that being said, I think I'm going to go Kentucky on this one.
You're going with the Wildcats. It's a night game in Gainesville. I think that's enough for me. I'm going the home side. I'm picking Florida.
All right.
Only because it's a night game and it's in Gainesville. It was a night game in Kentucky. It might be the opposite direction. Who knows? But yeah, I'm going to pick Florida in this one. All right, how about the second game of the week that we have on tap? Get your debate shoes out now, buddy, because this one's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah. Like I say, yeah, I'll be up in the cities. I'll try to see if I can find a way to watch this game, depending on what's going on. But yeah,
When's
this could
that?
be
When is
game of the
the?
year.
Yeah, or it could be classified as the quote-unquote game of the century, as everyone titles it, because this technically could be number 1 versus number 2.
Oh yeah,
But it is the Bulldogs out of Georgia as they travel to Austin, Texas for a nightcap showdown versus the Texas Longhorns. The only loss that Georgia has suffered this entire season was to Alabama. Texas has not. I don't think Texas has trailed at all this season. Except for Oklahoma and a field goal. But this one's gonna be tough. I can't see you right now, but I'm picturing you're thinking as hard as I am here.
yeah. I mean, this is. I think I have my team in mind that I'm gonna pick. But I'm just curious though, what's the lines and stuff on this?
The line. Oh shit! I probably should show this then. It opened up at 3.5. It is now 4.5. It is just over a field goal.
I mean, with this being in Texas, with this being, one of Texas's first massive games, and with them being a potential, championship favorite at home, I think I'm going to lean the Longhorns on this one. Because Georgia has not looked great. And in my opinion, I think the fact that Georgia's offense has been as anemic as it's been, yeah, sure, I mean, they did come back against Alabama, but I mean, you look at Kentucky, they won 13-12.
Yeah. But then again, you also got to look at the game after Alabama. They did beat Auburn, and then, I didn't even realize that was only a 10-point score. And they did beat Mississippi State. So this will be Georgia's first This was Georgia's first test since Alabama. Talk about out of the fire and into the furnace. Holy crap. Okay then. I don't want to pick this team, but I'm going to. I'm going to agree with the Longhorns as much as I don't want to, because chaos is always fun. Everyone loves chaos. Alrighty. Next up, we've got a pair of trophy games for you guys. We're going to start that's in the FBS level. As we scroll down so I can find it. This is for the Falcon Ram Trophy. The Colorado State Rams taking on the 1-5 Air Force Falcons. Oh, dear Lord. I did not know how bad Air Force was until just now.
So basically what you're saying is this could be a quick pick.
Yep.
Let's see here. Yeah, I think we'll just go Colorado State and call it a day. Is it that bad? Do I want to see the line? Here, let's see the line real quick.
The line is 7, but Air Force is 1-5.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Colorado State on this one, especially because it looks like the losses weren't even that close.
No, they weren't. 17-7 lost to San Jose State. 31-3 lost to Baylor. That one's kind of expected. 31-19 lost to Wyoming. 34-7 lost to rival Navy in Navy. Let's remember that. and then 52-37 lost to New Mexico. Holy fuck. Remember when Air Force was good? I don't fucking know anymore.
Alrighty.
All right. This next one, Jake, you're gonna have to pick it. You know what game it is. You're not.
Yeah, for those of you who are FCS fans, this is what we call the Dakota Marker game. And this game, for all intents and purposes, could be the number one seed in the entire FCS playoffs, at least over the last several years. In fact, with our last two most recent national champs.
I do have...
And they just so happen to be our arch rivals. But anyway,
I do want to give a shout out to a specific company that I was going to feature on the channel. I think it was last season, but I never got the chance to because I didn't get full on permission to show them as a quote unquote sponsor. But I want to give a shout out to a company called Rivalry Trophy. They now have the Dakota Marker as a trophy you can buy. So fans of North Dakota and South Dakota, fans of both the North Dakota State and South Dakota State teams, if you guys have family members that are fans of your rival, go to rivalrytrophy.com. Yes, I know this is a $110 trophy. It is expensive as hell. But I do recommend getting this as soon as you can because this would make a very fun little centerpiece in the middle of the table that you can pick up when your team wins. I'm planning on getting the Cyhawk trophy once I get moved because I already have a plan of what I'm going to do with it. But yeah, go to Rivalry Trophy. I don't have a coupon code for you guys. I apologize. But Rivalry Trophy, they do have the Dakota Marker. I don't think they have the Falcon Ram trophy. I don't think they do. No, they have no, they don't. Okay, so yeah, go to Rivalry Trophy, get yourself a Dakota Marker trophy. This one's going to be, it looks gorgeous. Just look at it. It's gorgeous. And the other side says the exact same thing on the bottom that it down here. But this you can flip and it says SD instead of ND. But beside the point, let's get back to South Dakota State, North Dakota State. This year's edition is taking place in the Fargo Dome in North Dakota. So probably not too far from where South Dakota plays their games, isn't it?
Brookings to Fargo, I'm not 100% sure the exact distance, but I think it's like only a couple hours.
All right. Anyway, Jake, you got to make a pick on this game. I know you want both these teams to burn in hell, but who do you got?
Ooh. Well, case in point for South Dakota State and North Dakota State. I mean, if you kind of scroll down to their last several games, this is really one of the first big tests for both teams. Because, well, like I say, this, for all intents and purposes, could be for the Missouri Valley regular season title here.
Yeah.
And, I mean, don't count out South Dakota as well yet, but like I say, we still got to play both SDSU and NDSU, so this is going to be very intriguing and very interesting.
Can I pause you for just 1 second? I want to have your attention drawn down to here really quick.
So yeah,
you're literally smack in the middle of both these teams. So whoever wins this is you either are staying put or South Dakota's jumping you.
But anyway, kind of getting back to this game here. Plus, it's also on ESPN too, so you know this is going to be a big game.
Oh yeah, this Rivalry Trophy. I mean, cannot go wrong.
Mm-hmm. But with that said, with it being in Fargo, man, This is going to be a good game, but I think I'm going to go with the Bison on this one, with it
Ooh!
being at home.
Ooh! I ain't even gonna lie. I was gonna be shocked as to who you were gonna pick anyway, but North Dakota State was more kind of the one that I'm like, I doubt he picks.
Only reason is because, like I say, they're at the Fargo Dome. You know that place is going to be packed to the brim with both ND and SDSU fans.
Oh dear God! I can
And
now picture that. Why did a fight just pop in my head as soon as you said that? I just pictured a fight in the stands. Oh dear God!
that usually doesn't happen too much, if hardly really ever. But yeah, with it being in Fargo, I'm going to go with NDSU, the Bison.
I'm okay. Now hold on a second. What does Pat McAfee have to do with South Dakota State? Did he actually go to South Dakota State before he went to West Virginia, or is that just a connection that he knows?
My guess is a connection that he knows, or people were like really chirping and chiming on him about the Jackrabbits. I
Because I
really
know,
don't 100% know.
because when Game Day went to South Dakota for a game, they brought on Pat McAfee for celebrity guest, and he picked South Dakota. So my question was wondering, did he actually go to the school?
No, I don't think he ever did. But I know one of his former teammates, Vinatieri, did. I wonder if maybe that's where that kind of came from,
Which,
potentially.
by the way, how bullshit is this? Think about this a second before I make my pick. So you know how Iowa State has had game day for the Iowa game, basically both their times that they've had game day, right?
Hmm.
Neither fucking one of those games they had a fucking celebrity that went to Iowa State. Both of them, one of them was a country singer. The other one was fucking Ashton Kutcher, who went to Iowa. Like, why? You're not there. You're not in Ames. Or you're not in Iowa City. Leave Ashton Kutcher for a game in Iowa City. Don't do Ashton Kutcher in the middle of fucking Ames, Iowa.
It'd be
Like,
like
oh my.
Brees Hall guest picking in Iowa City. Or David
Now
Montgomery or something.
they actually better fucking do that, or I'm gonna be pissed if they don't.
Well,
But
that is
anyway,
if they ever go back there, but regardless.
yeah. But anyway, now we're back on track here. You've picked North Dakota State. Based on how North Dakota State played their last game a week ago against SIU. I'm going to jackrabbit the fuck out of here.
All right.
I'm picking the Jackrabbits. I don't know why. I like looking at their last 5 games. Both of them look pretty damn even. I mean, looking at South Dakota State, they have a really bad win over Augustana. And then North Dakota State has a really bad win over SIU. But also looking at every other game, both of them have a dominant win, a dominant win, a dominant win, and a dominant win. Except for North Dakota State has the close loss to East Tennessee State. Or the close win over East Tennessee State. So, going based off of North Dakota State's scores, I'm going to pick the Jackrabbits here.
Okay.
Alrighty. Not gonna be many lines for these next 1, 2, 3. Because these are all FCS games.
So we can just kind of go ahead and rapid fire through a couple of them here.
Yeah.
Because we are starting to get a little long.
Oh, yeah, I know. We're at an hour and 15 minutes. Jesus Christ. Drake and Presbyterian. Game is in Presbyterian. Drake, actually, I need to look and see because Drake did win over Butler, which was a really good game. The dominant win over Valpo, and the win over the other USD in San Diego. And then the loss and then the first USD they played, they got their ass kicked. And then looking at Presbyterian, they have lost their last 4. I'm gonna wolf like a bulldog, and I'm gonna pick the boys out of Des Moines.
Also, give me Drake on this one too. Pretty much don't have anything else to say other than what you just said there. So,
yeah. All right. Next up, we go down the list here. This is gotta be a get right game. This has to be a get right game. The Northern Iowa Panthers, who are coming off their 4th consecutive loss. And it's kind of hard. It's actually kind of hard for you and I, especially because they've only played 2 home games all year.
which is nuts to think about, by the way.
Exactly. Their only other home game was a 41-3 loss to South Dakota State. They went up to South Dakota and they got their ass kicked. Now they're taking on the first half of North Dakota and the Fighting Hawks. This is in the Ilarius Center. So this is another domed stadium, I believe it is.
Yep.
Okay. So another domed stadium. I think, okay, what is it with FCS in their domes? Like, I love it, but why isn't there enough dome stadiums in the FBS? Like, come on. That'd be cool. Imagine a dome over Kinnick and Jack Trice.
But to be fair, though, a lot of the FCS teams might have started off in, like, Division II, so they use, like, football, basketball, volleyball, multi-use stadiums, because I know that's what USD was up until, I'd say, about 8 years ago.
Yeah. All right. So looking at these 2 teams, I have a feeling I know where you're going with this one.
Yeah, I think I do, too. Sorry, Northern Iowa, I'm going to probably have to go with North Dakota on this one. Just because it's like, Northern Iowa's frustrating, like even watching the game last week. They have the momentum. They have some players that can move. I mean, they moved pretty easily a few times there, but they just shot themselves in the foot. And that was what was able, and that's what allowed USD to just take over and go. Just those couple of mistakes was what let USD basically take over the game and drive it home.
Yeah.
So with that said, I'm going North Dakota.
I'm going North Dakota as well. I think we don't need to touch on this next one because it's Youngstown in South Dakota. We can do South Dakota for that one and just call it good, I'm assuming.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. If they do win, this would be their first win in Youngstown. USD's.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, to be fair, it's not like they played them every year, but yeah. Because for a while, Youngstown State was right up there, too. Like, Bo Pelini was their coach for several years.
Whoa, hold up. You guys don't play this week. Oh, never mind. Yeah, you do. Oh, my God. I couldn't find it. I'm scrolling through it. I'm like, wait a minute. Hold on. I don't see this game. All right. Anyway, continue your thought while I look for my.
Basically, I'm still picking USD, but this would be USD's first win in Youngstown, Ohio, since they've been a member of the Missouri Valley about 12 years ago.
Yeah. Alrighty. This next game. Can it be done? Can the Cyclones roll to their first 7-0 start? I don't know in how long, but I'm pretty sure that I don't think I've ever gone 7-0 to start the year. Can they do it? 13.5-point favorite over the Knights out of UCF, the first ever meeting of these 2 teams, if I am not mistaken. I am confirming this now, just to clarify, but I believe this is the first. This is the first meeting.
Well, anyway, while you look,
This is the first ever meeting between these two schools.
all right, interesting.
When was the last time Iowa State started off 7-0? That's actually a really good question.
Well, I think I saw something about like the first time they're either 6-0 or 6-0 since what was it, 38?
1938. Yep, that was. They finished the season 7-1-1 that year.
So
Their only time, their best record that they've ever had in Iowa State's history was 9-1-0 back in 1906.
So this is getting onto historic territory, record territory
This
potential.
is.
But you know what, though? With that being said, though, give me the Cyclones at home. Because, again, this team, as you've probably noticed, there's just something about this team where, yeah, sure, they do get off to slow starts at times, but they know how to rally together and get it done.
Yeah.
At least as of now. Granted, I don't know like who's the hardest team left on Iowa State's schedule. At least as of now.
Personally, it's Utah and Kansas State, and they're like, I think they're both back-to-back games.
So yeah, I mean we could have a potentially undefeated Iowa State team going up into those matchups.
Hell, that's what, 3 games away? After this game, Iowa State might be knocking on the door in their first 10-win season.
So yeah, I mean, like I say, Iowa State has something special brewing here. Just depends on how far it goes, and can we, stay healthy? Because that's always been the big issue.
Very much so. And another thing, how come Iowa State hasn't gotten their spot on ESPN yet? That's what's kind of pissing me off a little bit.
Because I don't know what the Big 12's TV rights are. Because ESPN is usually like Big 10, ACC, and like SEC, if I remember right. I don't know if they have Big 12 or not.
They do. I see Big 12
then I guess
the Colorado and Kansas State game was on ESPN.
Alrighty. Well, I guess then I don't know how they picked that, or maybe they're kind of looking like I don't know how they determine what games go on what channels. Is what I'm trying to say. I don't think anyone anticipated Iowa State being 6-0 at this point.
No one ever did. Hell, I don't even think Hawkeye fans are happy that Iowa State's 6-0. Actually, no, they really aren't because because Iowa State had to beat them in order to get to 6-0. Dumbass. All right, final game of the week. I don't know what the hell I just did. Oh, there we go. Final game of the week, Iowa, Michigan State. It's the same exact time. I just decided to put Iowa last. It's in Spartan Stadium. And then looking at Iowa's last few games, actually looking at Michigan State's last few games, I don't even know how to read this game. Okay? Because hear me out on this. Both Iowa and Michigan State both lost to Ohio State. The only difference is that the following weeks, wait, what?
Oh, because Michigan State had their bye as well.
Oh yeah, they had an extended bye week because Michigan State played Oregon on Friday night. Iowa played Ohio State Saturday, and then Iowa played Washington last Saturday.
Yep.
Michigan State hasn't played yet. But besides the point, looking at their last 5 games here, Maryland, close win. Prairie View, yeah, that's a game you should dominate. Boston College, okay, interesting opponent. Close loss. I give you the pass on that one. Ohio State makes sense. Oregon makes sense. Looking at Iowa State, you kind of blew that one. Troy, you almost blew that one. Minnesota, your offense finally showed up and finally decided to play. Ohio State, then your offense just decided to go MIA. Then Washington, and then it said, oh, here I am. This game is, I don't know how to judge this game. I really don't. As an outside Iowa fan, like what they doing over there type of fan. I don't know how to judge this game. I really don't. Because Michigan got put through a meat grinder in their last 3 games. Iowa hasn't really played that good of an opponent other than Ohio State and Washington. Well, and Iowa State, but we don't talk about that. That's a little bit more farther in the past. So, how do you judge this one? Because I'm stumped.
Honestly, Iowa will probably win this one just because, again, Michigan State, yeah, they're at home. But Michigan State has not looked good this year. I know that, Michigan State has been in the dumps the last couple of seasons, especially after that whole coaching incident from like 2 years ago. But again, that was... Anyway, so it just seems like Michigan State just can't get out of their own way, or they just hit a snag in their schedule. With that said, though, Iowa is also in an interesting spot because, yeah, obviously getting blown out by Ohio State sucks, but at the end of the day, Ohio State is still probably going to be right in it at the end.
Yeah.
And then they did come back and blow out Washington, who was, a national championship representative. Granted, it's a little different team per se with coaching, but still, there's still quite a few players on that team. So, with that being said, I'm going to go with Iowa in this one. Just because, basically.
Looking at the spread, Iowa's favored by 6. Hawkeyes, but close. They don't cover.
I could see that.
All right.
Or I could also see them getting blown out by 30. Or Iowa blowing out Mitch. Yeah.
Yeah. That is our pick. As I die. Oh shit, I need an upset here. Was Alabama favored in the Tennessee game? Do you remember?
I don't know, honestly.
God dang it. You're supposed to know this crap, damn it. No, I'm kidding. kidding.
I think Alabama was, I think.
They are. Okay, I'm making Tennessee.
But I'll check here.
I already see it.
They are.
I already looked at it. I'm making Tennessee my upset of the week.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, that went for an extra, 45 minutes longer than I thought it was going to?
Yeah, fair, but we also had a lot to catch up on, too, so.
Yeah. So, that's going to do it, guys. What is this? Week 8, I believe? I think I said week 8. Week 8 of college football started technically Tuesday, but we don't do those games because it just decides to be different, and we don't have time to do filming on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. Or sometimes Wednesday, sometimes Thursday. Today was kind of an emergency. We had to get it done because there's a game tonight. So there you go.
And plus, I'm going to be out of town this weekend, so.
Oosh, that's right. All right, guys. So that's going to do it for us. Jake, thanks once again for hopping on and doing this.
As always, you're welcome, and thanks for having me.
And until next week, guys, after hopefully everything settles in my personal life, I will catch you guys on the flip side. See you guys.